Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. My name's Elizabeth and I'm from the ICB. Thank you for joining us. And I'm really pleased to say that I'm joined by Libby Walklett today. Good morning, Libby. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. It is now. Yeah. Hi.
Thank you for joining us. If you're here, we would like for you to say hello to us. Libby and I both love a chat. And so please let us know that you're watching and where you are and who you work for, because we'd like to know what you think. And we'd like to know also that we're not just talking into the ether, although I think we'd probably both be fine doing that, Libby.
We would. I'll talk to anyone.
We're very pleased with the Libby and Lizzie live show as well. I think that's quite a catchy title. So today we're going to be talking about non-ICB bookkeepers coming to the Bookkeeper Summit, because this is something that Libby did last year. And so before we do that though, Libby, you're not an ICB bookkeeper, you're an AAT Bookkeeping Council member. Tell us about you, tell us about your practice, where you are, what sort of clients you have.
Well, I've been in finance for about 30 years now, quite a long time.
Started straight out of school?
Yeah, well, I was in catering for about 6 years. Very quickly got made a supervisor and then deputy manager of a restaurant and hotel. And after that, I left and then stepped into the world of finance, and I've been there ever since. Prefer the hours, if I'm really honest.
Yes.
Quite antisocial hours working in catering. And most of my career, I've been working in industry. I only set up my practice about 4.5 years ago now.
Right.
So it's been quite a change. So I set up my business. I have had a change of business name. I set up as Stressless Bookkeeping Services to begin with, and then changed to the Ethical Bookkeeper, which I thought was much more in keeping with my own thoughts and background. And that's worked really well for me. I'm still quite small. I work mainly on my own. I've employed my daughter on a part-time basis now, and she seems to be getting on quite well. She's also studying the AAT qualification. So it's been a different world, but I love it.
And why did you launch on your own? Why did you want to run your own practice?
Some of the businesses I'd worked for, I kind of thought I could do better. Not other accountancy or bookkeeping practices, but other businesses. I get frustrated by poor service, particularly. It frustrates me, and I wanted to set up a business that I would be proud of, where I could offer really good support, deliver things that I promise, and not let people down. And I also needed something that was flexible. So I'm a carer. I've got a number of members of my family with health issues, and it was very difficult to find something that was flexible. I had a couple of employers that were difficult, I suppose you could say, about me working flexible hours, and I needed something more. I know I can do a good job. I just know that sometimes the things that I need to do are kind of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, in terms of doctor's appointments. It's just very difficult. So if I can work around that, if I need to take time out, I can. If I then need to work evenings, weekends, and just work flexibly, then that, it doesn't matter, as long as the work gets done. My clients all know, the score. They never have to wait very long to get a response from me anyway. So it has worked really well. It's given me the freedom and the flexibility that I needed and wanted.
Yeah, and that's what we're hearing again and again about bookkeepers setting up on their own businesses to fit around their lives outside work, because I think we all recognise we have different demands, and whatever that is, whether that's caring, whether that's, I know people who work flexible hours because they have horses, and I think it's recognising that not everyone's life fits into a 9 to 5. So people who are joining us might be surprised to see ICB and AAT alongside each other, but this is something that's very characteristic of the bookkeeping community, in that but it is a community. Bookkeepers in particular support each other an awful lot, And in actual fact, that sort of friendship across the divide between AAT and ICB Bookkeepers is how you came to find yourself at the 2023 ICB Bookkeeper Summit, isn't it? So this was last November. Tell us about how you found out about the Bookkeeper Summit.
That would have been from your members raving about it, and I didn't know that I could attend. You know, it was, I just assumed that it was just for ICB members. And yeah, I heard them all talking about how great it was. They were raving about it, and I got a bit of FOMO, and they said, no, anyone can attend.
Anyone can join. Well, it really helps if you're a bookkeeper. That's what we
yeah,
we do like to have bookkeepers join us.
Yeah,
so yes, so what we're talking about is the annual ICB Bookkeeper Summit, and it's an event held every year in November. And really, as we said, it is for everybody. And we draw together bookkeepers, and it's a conference. So it's specifically curated content that's dedicated for bookkeepers, technical updates, inspirational speakers, a lot of stories about bookkeepers. In terms of, we do lots of interviews with bookkeepers because people like to hear each other's stories an awful lot. And there are very similar stories to yours, Libby, in terms of people setting up their own business and changing their lives because of bookkeeping. But also, we had a great story last year from Lara Manton, who was working on this big US TV show, and just all the complications around that. So it's a real mix. So we meet in November. This year it's November the 11th, in person in London. Bougie hotel, Libby, isn't it?
It's absolutely gorgeous. It's such a nice venue.
Crown Park Plaza. We're back again this year, in kind of just across the water from Big Ben. So you really feel like you're in the heart of it, don't you? It's a really lovely hotel. We meet there on the Sunday night if you're around for drinks, and then we're there for the whole day on Monday. It's a full day of conference, and there is an exhibition as well with some of our software and other vendor partners. And then in the evening is the Lucre Awards, and then later in the week we have a virtual summit as well. So you came into this environment thinking that what did you think when you came into it, and how did that work for you?
Yeah, it was quite weird. I kind of thought, you might think I was spying on you.
Taking it all the way back to the AAT Council, yeah.
Well, apart from anything, we can all learn from each other anyway, can't we? We can all do better. And actually what we do is we help the entire industry. So it's lovely that we're able to collaborate. So I'm going to give the ICB a bit of love here.
Yes. Well, in the same way, I think it's really important, and what we notice a lot with our bookkeepers is they outsource work to different bookkeepers, and you have to be able to trust who you're outsourcing to, don't you?
That is a very good point. No, everybody was extremely friendly. I felt very welcome. It was lovely, and that's why I'm coming back again. It was great.
Yes, coming back this year. So, and I haven't asked you this, so I'm putting you on the spot. Is there anything that you can remember from last year that stood out for you in any of the talks? There's quite a variety, isn't there?
Yeah, it was. I think what stood out was the atmosphere. The content was very tailored to the bookkeeping industry, so it was very useful, and it felt nice. It was very calm. I go to all the accountancy shows, and they're full on, and they can be quite overwhelming, and there's a lot going on, and you might choose, you might look at the different talks at the same time, and you might have 2 or 3 that you'd quite like to go to, and you don't know which to go to, so you get a bit of FOMO about the ones you don't go to. But with the summit, it's a conference, so it's one room and one talk, so you don't miss anything, and everybody's focused and listening. There are no distractions, but equally, if you want to pop out, if you want to see the suppliers, if you want to go and get a drink, you can just go. We're all grown-ups, right?
Yeah.
But that actually made it really nice, and it was nice and calm. And there were times when I did pop out, and then I got talking to a supplier, and then I'd come in and I'd miss the beginning of the next talk. But that is quite me.
Yeah. Well, talking too much? That's we do have plenty of breaks as well. Yeah, I think we were just mentioning before we started our live about the difference between all the events, and there are a lot of events, especially in they've been March, April, May, haven't they? Fab, DAS, and now Accountex. But I have been really impressed, Libby, about how different they are, and the atmosphere and the content at Fab was entirely different from the digital accountancy show. So bravo to those teams. And we know that Accountex is amazing. It's quite a lot, isn't it? It's quite overwhelming at times.
It can be, yeah.
But you know, I love it. I think my natural environment is the corporate event. So I love it. The ICB conference is different because it is a conference and it is a community coming together. So it's kind of what we want to share with people is that sense of family and that sense of that you're in a safe space to be a bookkeeper. You're not going to get content that is aimed at accountants. This is specific for bookkeepers as well. The thing I was expecting you to say, which a lot of our members say about the conference, is the food.
I was going to mention that the food was excellent, actually, and to be fair, you know, the food can be hit and miss at these events, so you're never quite sure. The food was very good, and plenty of it as well, and it was
included. Well, I think it's because we know that this event is really big for our members, and it's a really big day out, but also it's about respecting your time as well. We know that to get to the Bookkeeper Summit, you might have had to come the night before. You might have had to pay, you certainly pay for a train fare or a hotel. You're going to be out the business. The majority of our members are talking about having to send their children to different places to be picked up, or making sure their caring responsibilities are covered. There's a lot of other things competing for your attention. So we want to make sure that it's really worth you being there when you get there.
Yeah, it's got to be value for money. It is a lot, you know. You may become more productive afterwards because you've attended, and obviously you get a tick in the CPD box.
Yeah, that's it.
But you know, you've got to then catch up on that work afterwards, and these things do mount up. So you need to judge whether you're going to get value. If you do attend, and I just thought it was very good. I thought it was extremely slick, professional, really enjoyable, good value. I'm coming back.
Good. I mean, you didn't see the swan's legs going underneath the water, did you? But yes, there's a lot.
Excellent speakers as well. Very good speakers.
Yes. So in terms of speakers, we are inviting speaker entries this year. So we want to cast on that as wide as possible, and we're invited. It'll be open on the 3rd of June. We'll be asking for people to put in applications to speak there as well. So you know, and that's open for everybody as well. It doesn't have to be members. So Libby, you've got something interesting to say, which I'm sure you do.
Yes. Oh, well.
You can apply to speak as well. I just wanted to cover two more things as well. That I don't know if you did any of it last year, that as part of your ticket for the in-person summit on the Monday, you also have access to the virtual sessions as well on the Wednesday and Thursday. Did you go to any of those, or had you had enough by then?
I a couple of them, but it's the time factor, really. It was lovely to be able to attend them.
Yeah.
But it is difficult because you're constantly struggling. You know, actually, I've got to get some clients.
That's actual work done.
Yeah.
So with the virtual summit, they're all recorded. So you can watch them and catch up. And what we do with that is, well, first of all, you can buy a virtual only ticket, so you can attend those sessions if you can't make the Monday session in person. And again, as we've talked, not everybody feels entirely comfortable about being in a room with hundreds of people and traveling down to London. It's not possible for everyone. The virtual summit content is different from the in-person content. And on the Wednesday, we have a focus on tech. So we do have lots of demos that day, but they're demos that are specific to bookkeepers. So if there's a piece of technology you're interested in, that's where you can go to look at it. And also on the Thursday, we run a virtual summit in its entirety, and it's the same sort of speakers, but perhaps there's more detail. So in the in-person summit, we have Paul Applin, who's tax expert, talking, and on the virtual summit we have Rebecca Bennyworth, because we know that an hour with Rebecca Bennyworth is a lot to take in, and you probably need to be at your desk and writing loads of notes and making the most of it. So we run that this way. So if you don't feel like coming to London, schlepping to London and hanging out with us, then you can still join in. And then the other thing I was going to say was you just missed out last year on the Luca ticket, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
So the Lucas are the annual ICB bookkeeping awards, and again these are open to everyone. We're going to be opening entries in July, late July this year, and these are the bookkeeping awards across for everyone, bookkeepers, practices, branches, and also we cover vendors, training suppliers, and everything like that as well. So you're going to try and get to the Luca Awards this year, Libby?
I am hopeful that I'll be able to attend. We'll see.
We always got your ticket last year, but then you didn't have a dress. That's right?
I didn't have a dress and I didn't have a hotel room. So if anybody's watching out there and they want to offer me a ticket, and a hotel room would be even better. But
you're right.
You never know. As my dad used to say, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Absolutely.
But then he also said, if you do ask, you don't get. So I couldn't win.
But if you do ask and you don't get, at least you asked.
Well, yeah, at least I've tried. So I'm quite interested to know what is going to be included at the summit this year. What have you got planned? What's the lineup?
That's a really good question. Thanks for putting me on the spot. Well, the agenda is a work in progress, and it's a work in progress because we're expecting lots of people to apply to speak. We've got some people that we definitely want on the agenda. Last year we had we normally have some external speakers. And I think what we want to do with the external speakers this year is bring them from within the industry. So we have experts coming in that really understand the industry and understand lifestyle's a strange word, but the lifestyle of a bookkeeper. And we will have the tax experts in. Normally we have somebody from the government come, whether that's a minister or somebody from the Department of Trade, Business and Trade. But we're thinking this year it might even be busy that week with an election. So my dream person at the summit would be Rachel Reeves, the Shadow Chancellor, but I'm thinking that they're going to be very busy in November. And if not, at least we'll have a ringside seat because we'll be opposite Westminster.
But you're going to ask anyway, aren't you?
I'm going to ask. You've got to ask, don't get. Who would you like to see? Who have you enjoyed? We don't want to have exactly the same people as other conferences, but who have you enjoyed seeing? And perhaps if anyone's watching, perhaps they could suggest, if they want to suggest people who they'd like to see as well.
Do you know, I'm not sure I want to give any names, but there's a real balance, isn't there, between the people that we see all the time who are absolute industry experts, mm-hmm. and giving new fresh faces an opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite difficult. I mean, to be honest, at the risk of name dropping, I could probably listen to Lucy Cohen speak forever. Yeah. Once she starts, she's hilarious and very, really fascinating anyway. Yeah. But there are so many.
Lucy came to the Lucas last year, so she was there with a guest.
And she always has a fabulous outfit as well.
Gosh, and I put some pictures up on my Facebook, and my friends were like, "Who's that person?" The dress, she looked amazing.
Well, she was
not standing next to her again.
She's been at the council meeting with me, and then we travelled back to Paddington yesterday together. So I was extremely lucky to be able to have a chat with her. Kind of one-to-one. There are so many good speakers, and it is nice to see new people having an opportunity as well, because if you always have the same people, how does anybody else ever get, start to develop their skills? And I think that's been quite interesting at some of the industry events already, that we have seen some new people having the opportunity. I mean, I'm quite interested in talks about, I'd like to see a bit more on neurodiversity myself, because it is affecting us. I've got one client that said to me right at the beginning, she's got ADHD, and I'm not an expert, but I do want to do better. And it would be really interesting to have people speaking about things like that. My daughter's autistic as well. So to be able to understand how do we really help our clients when we're working with them, when they are neurodiverse, and the same with employees. If you've got employees that that need more support, what's the best way to do that so that we really help them and we really understand, how to support them with a good career, with a meaningful career, not just think, oh, that's going to be extra work, isn't it? No.
Well, I'm calling out Lawrence and Rebecca Watmore, who are ICB members, and they put together a really great article for us on the website, which talked about how you can support neurodiverse clients. And also for our International Women's Day, we had a team of bookkeepers talking about how you support neurodiverse staff members. People like Penny Allard talking on that. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's a really important topic, and I know that Sobi Hariharan, who's our head of partnerships, has been talking a lot recently at panels on diversity. And this is coming up again, that it's not just there are differences, not just in the way you look or what you practice, but in the way you think and the way you manage work. So yeah, it's very much, that's a really good point, really at top of the list as well. So
that's great. I'm also looking at potentially at software suppliers. What can they do to make their products more friendly for people who aren't neurotypical, and will that actually help all of us? So I think that's quite an interesting conversation. I've had that a few times now. I'm just waiting for the first one to actually say, yes, I'm going to have a go at that.
They need to catch up with that, don't they? Yes, that's a really good point. Again, I might just write some notes here in terms of putting the agenda together.
So yeah, I mean, the other things that are obviously quite passionate about, again, not an expert, but interested and want to improve, would be anything to do with ethics. And again, not just, our ethical principles, but how do they really impact us day to day? I'm on social media a lot. I see all the horror stories. I've seen it all. It's not nice. And there are people who, there are clients that we wouldn't want to work with. And there are people having to deal with things that are, there's some difficult decisions to be made sometimes about, how we work with those clients and what we're prepared to do and what we've been asked to do. And I think maybe some kind of real life examples of what do we do when we're in that situation, and actually bring it to life a bit more would be really good. Then, there's sustainability. There's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of stuff going on about AI as well. Again, very closely linked to ethics. So those topics would interest me, definitely.
Yes. Last year we had Chris Downing from Sage talking about AI. But I think you could talk about AI every 6 months and it would change, wouldn't it? Because it's developing. I was going to say with the thing around ethics is obviously there's a big focus on AML as well. And I think through the work we do on AML supervisory, it's kind of, you recognize that there are some people that don't behave in the way that you would expect them to, but like you say, advice on how you manage that and setting your expectations at the start of those client relationships, that would be another good one as well, wouldn't it?
I must admit, I've been very, very well, I say lucky, I don't think it is luck. I've been very careful about who I will work with, so I'm quite picky, but my business name, The Ethical Bookkeeper, it was partly because I'd seen these horror stories, and there was a whole decision around, will it put people off working with me, or will it put off the people that I don't want to come to me in the first place? They take one look at my business name and think, well, she won't let me put this, the other three business. So actually, all my clients have been brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, bit of luck, bit of judgment there, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. The people are the baddies are going to stay away from you, aren't they?
Yeah.
But also it's a thing of, and I'm sure from an ICB angle, and I'm sure you have it from an AAT angle as well, that our standards are what really hold us to account, and we want people to recognise that when they have an ICB bookkeeper, they have one with extremely high standards. And that's what certification and qualification is all about, isn't it? Recognising those standards.
Yeah.
Good. And also, the other thing I want to ask you is, with the Luke Awards, do you think you will enter this year in terms of there are the categories around, bookkeeping practice? We have a small bookkeeping practice, large. We have social media influencer. We have, as well as the ones around, training providers and vendors and things. Do you think that might be?
I'm just going to say the same thing, which is I wasn't actually sure whether I could enter.
Really?
I would love to have a Luca Award on my look. I'm going to have to put another shelf up here.
You would have to put.
I'd be able to squeeze one in somewhere. Yeah.
Non-members can enter, and then I can just explain that there's two categories. There's the Bookkeeper Awards, which are all around new practice, large practice, small practice, all those different things. And they are judged by a team of very strict judges. So we have the likes of Dale Rodriguez, we have Richard Sargent, and those sorts of industry notables that are. Sorry, I'm just thinking Alex from XU Magazine. I'm trying to just think about the people as we go along. Della Hudson, they judge the practice ones, and then we have the Vendor Awards as well. And the Vendor Awards are voted for by bookkeepers. So not only can non-ICB members attend the Bookkeeper Summit, they can enter the Luca Awards, and most crucially, they can vote for their favourite or least favourite. No, they won't vote for those. They can vote for their favourite vendors as well and have their voice, and that's always a big part of the night as well. So yes, part of.
There we go. Something else to the.
Nothing else. Yeah, and you can do all this, and we're not. You can still be an AAT member.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, it's so inclusive. I love it.
Because it's about the community, isn't it?
Yeah, I just love the fact as well that bookkeepers are being recognised so much more than they were, and I love that. I've always said bookkeeping isn't a lesser skill; it's a different skill. Absolutely. It's a very different skill, and it's. But for so long, we've all been saying, "I'm just a bookkeeper."
Yes,
and it's a terrible thing to say, and we need to stop doing it. We are bookkeepers, and we are amazing, and we are so valuable to our clients, and I love that. I love seeing how much more recognized and respected the industry is. It's just, it's great. I love it.
Good. Well, we think that as well, which is why we're as inclusive we can. So I'll wrap up then, because we just wanted to have a quick chat. So I'm just going to repeat again that all bookkeepers are welcome to the Bookkeeper Summit. We're holding it on Monday, the 11th of November. There are some early bird discount tickets available. If you look on the website, we'll make sure the link's in here. And I think I'm going to check out what it's right. It's £145, and that includes everything for your day, including a cracking lunch. So do have a look out for it. Have a look at keep an eye out for things like the Luca application awards, Luca Awards applications, but also that call for speakers. If you've got something to say to the bookkeeping community, then we want to help you say it. And yeah, we'll keep an eye out for other people in your network going as well. But thank you, Libby. It's extremely generous of you to spend your time talking to us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Nice to see you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.